Hello everyone, Mike the Pied Piper here, and I'm here on behalf of Team Main Deck to do another Dragon Ball Super deck profile video. Been quite some time since I've actually done a deck profile video for Dragon Ball Super. Doesn't mean I haven't been engaged with the community or haven't been engaged playing Dragon Ball Super. As a matter of fact, just played in Gen Con for 2022, just played in the Kansas City tournament, played in quite a few online tournaments. Also did a few podcast videos, especially towards the end of the year. I encourage you to check those out on the channel. And I've also been involved in many other different card games as well, including Digimon. I'm getting into One Piece. I'm going to be getting into Battle Spirit Saga. And then another card game that just came out of Kickstarter, Grand Archive. I'm going to be getting that in that as well. That's coming out in April, and I do encourage you, for those of you that really want to, this card game's really cool, so I encourage you to check out our channel to kind of check the how-to play video, and really excited about getting into Grand Archive. Just, it kind of has that magic-y type feel, like you can be an assassin, you can be a mage, you can be a warrior. a lot of fun, so really looking forward to that. Anywho, to get back to the deck profile video, the other reason I really wanted to do the deck profile video is I've been getting a lot of feedback for people who want to get into the Dragon Ball Super card game, but for whatever reason, they're like, oh man, I'm so overwhelmed. There's 19 to 20 different sets out. Decks are super expensive to make. It looks really complicated. They really don't have a starting point. And I wanted to do this deck profile video for, to show that you can make a competitive deck for cheap. We're talking under $100. And then also with the new the Z deck coming out and the new bands, really make a lot of decks that may not have been as viable a lot more viable, because now you don't have this evil card called Trunks. And I'm gonna showcase that card real quick. Let me bring that up here. So this is Trunks. This is the card that recently got banned. So for those of you that do know how to play the game, this card literally said if your card, your boss card or whatever you're gonna play does not have deflect, this thing is just totally gonna stop it. And it's a counterplay card for free. If you have a blue unison card with 2 or more markers in play, you can activate the counter on the skill with this for free, and literally you play this, and any card that doesn't have a deflect, it would put it right back into their hand. So you would waste all this energy trying to play this card, and it would literally, your opponent would literally play this, cost nothing, and you would just lose out. And now that this card is banned, now boss monster cards don't necessarily have to have deflect. There are very few cards. Yellow in particular has cards that can stop it doesn't even necessarily stop it all the way, but literally all it does is it says, oh hey, we're gonna negate its skills and we'll put it in rest mode. And even then, it still costs energy for the yellow player to play that card. I think it's I forget the name of the card offhand. But it's like a counterplay card. They got to pay 2 energy, something. It's got freeze on it, something laser. And it's just, it's a lot better than free, and your yellow players have to keep that energy open in order to play something like that. So it can be played around. So now, because this is banned, it opens up a lot more decks. So now I'm going to get into the deck profile video, and for those of you who have watched my previous videos, you do know my favorite deck. My deck of all time, it is Set 7 Zamasu. Absolutely love playing it, and it just has gotten so much more powerful and so much more support since the last set, or since the last time I've actually done videos. So I'm going to kind of go over it. I'm going to go over what each card does and why I have each card in the deck. So this is the deck. We can see the main deck here, Z deck and side deck. But first I want to get into what the leader actually does. So I'm going to bring this up here. A little bit easier to see when I can blow up the leader like this. But Why I really like this deck is number one, for control, and number two, finding what you need. So if we look at Goku Black and Zamasu, it's when this card attacks, you look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, choose one blue or yellow Goku Black or Zamasu card among them, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. And you can then awaken when your opponent has 3 or more energy, you draw 1 and you untap 1. So it does have a little bit more different waking mechanic compared to other leaders. Other leaders, like you know, if you're at 4 or less life. This one, it's when your opponent is at 3 or more energy. Then finally, we get into the awakened side, which when this card attacks, same thing as the unawakened side. Top 5, search for a Goku Black and Zamasu card. When this card attacks a leader, it does lose minus 5k. So it's got to have some kind of disadvantage because we do get 2 really cool activate mains. The first activate main, if your opponent has 8 or more energy, you get to take 4 life from them. So the point of this deck is you do want to ramp your opponent's energy. I wouldn't say the point, but it's one of the win cons, is ramp your opponent's energy up to 8 energy. And there's quite a few cards that we do run in the deck that can do that. And then finally we have activate main once per turn. Cost 1, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to their hand. Really, really cheap and nice energy removal. And I gotta tell you, now that they changed the ruling on ultimate cards, where once ultimate cards leave play, they go removed from game instead of back to hand or what have you, this is a really cheap way to get rid of those ultimate cards because it just totally removes. It doesn't even go back to them. So now that we've gone over the leader, let's go to the actual deck and I will bring up each one of the cards. The key thing is around this leader, you want to include your Zamasu and Goku Black cards. You want to build your deck around that. So then that way you can find your resources easy. Right now, the main deck, I have this at 54 cards. I believe 54 is a nice median. It keeps everything that you need for the deck. It has the tech that it needs. And you can have between 50 and 60 cards. I do keep it, 54, I think, is really nice, like that fine line, that nice ratio. So, first we'll kind of get into the deck. So, the first thing we'll start off with is, let's look at the super combo. Get right into it. The super combo that I run in this deck is Zamasu's Sacred Disbelief. If your leader is blue or yellow, when you combo with this card from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards or battle cards and switch it to rest mode. I don't know why you wouldn't run any other super combo in this deck. This is literally searchable with your leader. Attack, find this card. Great for early game. I mean, this is live right away, even when you're at 1 energy. So if your opponent starts flooding their board, you can instantly combo with this. Tap their leader. You can't tap their unison, but you can tap their leader card or battle card. It's just really, really, really solid. And again, this is searchable with Zamasu's the leader ability when you attack and you look at your top 5. So I do run Zamasu Sacred Disbelief. The next card that I kind of wanted to get into with the deck is the point of this deck, again, is to ramp your opponent, but also ramp yourself. So when the faster that you ramp, you're going to be able to play your higher end cards that are going to help ramp your opponent to win the game. So there is a really awesome promo card that I use. It's called Divine Judgment. And this card is really good, but it can restrict you as well. So what this does is if your leader is a Zamasu card, negate the attack, you may place the top card of your deck in your energy in rest mode. If you do, you can't activate copies of this card for the turn, and you can only play Zamasu cards, Goku Black cards, or Mono Blue Unison cards with a specific cost of 2 or less for the game. What's really great about this card, number one, just a general nice negate, cost 2, but you're ramping yourself. And the thing is you're going to build the deck. This deck is built around the restriction already put in place that you can only play Zamasu cards and Goku Black cards. I can tell you, using this card and ramping yourself up quickly, it's going to make sure that you're going to have tons of negate. You're You're going to be able to stop attacks, and then you're going to be able to play your cards to ramp your opponent. So I do build the deck around Divine Judgment. I built it around that. It is only using Goku Black cards and Zamasu cards, despite the Z deck, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But first off, I do run that. Then you got your general gambit of, your Zamasu cards. It does run the Tragedy Overground engine. So, for example, I do run cards like SS Rose, Goku Black, Divine Prosperity. Again, a generic negate, super good, counterattack, negate the attack, and then you get to choose one of the two following options. If you have 2 or more energy, then you literally can you pay 2, untap 2. Again, really, really good generic negate. It's almost like another dimension magic type card. Basically a free negate. And I do run 4 of these. And you get to play the card, which is really crucial for your other cards to help when it comes to fusion. Then I'll play for, this one, your Dimension Magic, you run a 4 of. Any blue deck, you're going to run this. Super good. Pay 1, untap 2. Generic blue negate. Really, really, really good. So right there, you have 8 negates. Then you have Divine Judgment. That's your 12 negates. And then finally, I run 2 of the Fuse Zamasu, the Cunning. Again, another card that negates. This card only costs 2 if your leader card is a Zamasu, which you are Zamasu on both your front and your back side. Again, costs 2, an indestructible Fuse Zamasu that you get to play, which can be used to fuse into your other cards. And it also has the ability that you can discard a blue-yellow from your hand to untap 2 of your energy to ensure that you're not tapped out. So I do run 2 of this. So this does give the deck an overall, you have 4, 8, 12, you have 14 negates in this deck, which is just absolutely fantastic. Now, one of the cards that recently came out before I did my previous deck profile video, one of the weaknesses to Zamasu was your opponent had to have 3 energy to awaken. And a lot of times your opponent could actually play around that. Some decks can be super aggressive only at 2 energy. Well, they did actually solve that issue. They came out with a new Goku Black card called Goku Black Time Ring Awakening. Again, this is another card that can be searched for when you attack. This card, literally, you can play it for free if you have 4 or more energy out in play. So you can use this, and this is fodder for any of your Union Fusion. This card also allows you to awaken. So if you have 2 or more energy, you can discard this card from your hand, draw 2 cards, and then flip your leader over. You're not technically awakening, but you're flipping your leader over so you can get to the other side, even if your opponent is not going to go above that 3 energy, if they're going to be stagnant about it. So I do run 2 copies of this. Again, super clutch card. You can also use this against really aggressive decks and awaken early and get to that 15k earlier. So then if they do try to start flooding their board, you can hurry up, awaken, and then your opponent's really going to have to start fighting to do damage to you. Then you can pair this. Obviously, I do run 4 Sensu Beams. This card has recently been errata that you cannot use this. You cannot untap energies on your turn. It would only be on your opponent's turn, so you can only use this on your opponent's turn. But I can tell you, super solid. I'll use that Goku Black Awaken, pay 1, get to that 20k, and a lot of times that'll stop a lot of floodgates that if your opponent's going to flood the board with a bunch of 15k strikers to try to attack you. So then the next thing, again, I don't know if all of you are familiar with the Zamasu package, but depending on the deck you're playing, again, the main purpose of this deck is you want to get out Tragedy Overground. Couple ways you can do that is you can fuse using the 5-drop Fuse Zamasu. This literally just takes a Zamasu and Goku Black that is on the field or in your energy, either or, and you can fuse them for free into this 5-drop. It is an indestructible card, and to be clear, indestructible means that it cannot leave the field via effects or battle. The only way this card can leave the field is if it is negged to 0, which red does a really good job of that, or you have to negate the skills and then remove it, which yellow does have a few cards that can do that. Not too many, and then also yellow-green. I think there's a yellow-green topo that can do it. But the only way this card can leave the field, so it can't be destroyed in battle, nothing along that lines. The only way this card can leave the field is it has to be negged, like a card that says neg this battle card by minus 25, or it adds up to negative 25, or you have to negate the indestructible skill and then remove it. So this is a really solid card. It's a level 5. Another level 5 that you can play, which this has came out before I've done my other deck profile videos, is Fuse Zamasu Divine Condemnation. What's really nice about this card is it costs, essentially you can play it for 2. As long as you have a Zamasu or a Goku Black card in your combo area, you can play a blue and a yellow, and then you can play this card. This card has actually gotten just a tad bit stronger because there's no longer a Trunks. A lot of times I'll play this card, a blue deck will say, no, you can't play this, because blue does not want this out. Once this gets out, a blue deck is not going to be able to do anything with this. And when you play this, this is a blocker, and then you can discard a blue-yellow card from your hand, and if you do, you get to choose one of your opponent's non-leader cards and switch it to rest mode. That includes unisons, that includes their energy. Non-leader cards. So this is really good. You can only have one out in play. It is a unique. But if you're going against a blue deck, if you're going against a green deck, you want to get this card out as quickly as possible because it is just trouble for your opponent. Red is going to find ways to neg this card, so you're probably going to go with the other 5-drop. Yellow can get rid of this. It's a lot harder, though. Depending on the deck, you're going to want to get this 5-drop out as quickly as possible. But generally, red is going to neg it. And black has absolutely no way at the time of this recording to really deal with Indestructible. I mean, it's just a really, really, really solid card. I could see people putting in the comments, oh, there's this black card. But for the most part, black does not have a lot of answers to this. So you want to get out this 5-drop right away. Now, what's nice about that is, again, now that you have the multiple 5-drops, you can evolve those 5-drops, EX Evolve, and go into the 9-drop. And this is where the deck really starts coming into play, because you play this 9-drop, you can evolve it off 4 blue, and again, you are ramping with Divine Judgment. You play this card, it's an indestructible dual attacker for 35k. You can then activate the main or battle. This can be done on your opponent's turn or when you play this. You can remove this card, and then you turn around and you play Tragedy Overground. And Tragedy Overground is such a powerful card. Depending on the deck you are facing, this card will literally destroy them. This gets rid of a lot of rogue decks. For example, there was a rogue deck that was actually discussed in the Crossworld video. I know one, the Supreme Kai of Time, that uses a lot of Overwhelm. This shuts it down immediately. You play this, they cannot play, your opponent cannot play battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or more. It goes into their energy instead. They do not even get the effects of the battle card. So even though this field card doesn't have barrier, any cards that can get rid of field cards, well, number one, the permanent says it can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's battle cards. And then number two, anything that could is like super high cost, which means it would go into your opponent's energy anyway. And this card alone, Tragedy Overground, pairs with your win condition with the deck. Your leader, remember, when your opponent is at 8 energy, they take the top, you activate main, they take the top 4 of their life deck and put them at the bottom. So it's like 4 automatic damage. You can use this when they have a flooded battlefield, activate Tragedy Overground, give them the 8 energy, and then take the 4 life. This is just one of the ways that you can do that in this deck. And again, depending on the deck, you get this out, I mean, it's pretty much good game. it's pretty much good game. Again, you know, again, depending on the deck. There are a lot of decks like AOD that floods with 2 and 3 drops. There are decks that focus more on unisons than they do battle cards. But again, depending on the deck you're going against, Tragedy Overground, extremely, extremely powerful. Now, we don't want to rely on the win con of the activate main of getting your opponents to 8 energy, because you may or may not be able to get them to the 8 energy. We do have other cards that can do that, but I want to get into the cards that you can use just to simply go after your opponent and go for the win. And one of these cards that I like is Goku Black Lofty Aspirations. So let's say your opponent is being really stingy and they're going to stay at the 4 to 5 energy. What's nice about this card is it's an EX Evolve, costs 4 off of Goku Black, but you can EX Evolve from a Goku Black in your energy, which you're already ramping quite a bit. So you can now play this 9-drop, and if your opponent has 5 or more energy, when this card evolves into a Goku Black, you can then place up to 2 of your opponent's energy in their drop area. Let's say they're keeping that 1 or 2 energy open. They're going to keep that open and just go, all right, I'm going to wait. I'm going to, stop your attacks. And no, I'm just going to defend against you and then, do their win con. You can play this card, destroy 2 of their energy, and it's a 30k triple striker. And again, this is a card that you can search with Zamasu's leader ability. You can then find this. So it's really, really, really good. The next thing that I wanted to get into, another win con, is actually another card that you can play, and this is the SCR of the deck. And this is the one that I picked, which is really good. And this one is called Power of Potara, Vegeta, Kefla, and Zamasu. Now that Trunks has been banned, this card used to be really risky to play because it didn't have Deflect. You now no longer need to worry about that. This card costs essentially 5. So if your opponent has 6 or more energy, or has 6 or more cards in rest mode, which again, you're ramping, they're more likely going to be aggressive against you, have a lot of battle cards on field, and they're going to probably have the 6 or more cards in rest mode between their unison, their leader, their energy, etc. This card then costs 3 less to play, so essentially it costs 5. When you play this card, you get to choose up to 4 of your opponent's cards, doesn't matter what it is, energy, unison, leader, battle card, blocker. They must switch them to rest mode, and then you get to draw 4 cards. This card can be a game changer. So again, if they are being stagnant and they are not going to sit there and they're not going to ramp up their energy and they're like, nope, you're going to have to beat me down, and they're going to keep that energy at that 5 energy mark, you can play this card, and it is so good. You can even play this with Divine Judgment, because while this card is a Vegito and Kefla card, it is also a Zamasu card. So it does fit in within Divine Judgment, so you can ramp and play this card, and it's really good. Again, you can even search for this card with Zamasu's power, so you're more likely to get this card out a lot quickly. Like, you're going to see this a lot more in games. Then I want to go over, again, there's cards that I run that you don't just want, you can get your opponent to that 8 energy, but you don't just use Tragedy Overground. There's other cards that you can use. And there's 2 cards that I run for that reason. One is SS Rose Goku Black, Inviting the Darkness. This is a really good card. It costs 3. When you play it, you take the top card of your deck and then you put it into your energy, if you are Goku Black or Zamasu. Okay? You reveal the top card, put it into top card of deck into your energy. At the end of your opponent's turn, they then reveal the top card of their stack. And if that card is a battle card, they then put that card into their energy, essentially ramping them. Okay? Really, really, really good card. If it isn't a battle card, you draw a card, so at least you're netting a card. But what's nice about this is not only are you ramping yourself, you're ramping your opponent, and you're getting them to that kill energy is what I like to call it. And that kill energy is actually 6. You want them to be at 6 energy, because once they're at 6 energy, doesn't matter if they have any battle cards out or anything like that. Once they're at 6 energy, you can then play this card. And this card was talked about in the Crossworlds video, and this is essential for this deck. It's gotten so much more powerful because there is no Trunks. Because it doesn't have deflect, but now you don't have to worry about that unless like few circumstances. Like yellow has, like, again, we talked about that at the beginning of the video. It's an indestructible 30,000 card. You have to fuse with a blue Goku Black and a yellow Zamasu. Remember, you can play a Goku Black from your hand for free with the 2-drop that I talked about. Or, and again, like your Zamasu, you're going to have the 5-drop yellow Zamasu out. You may have the counter attack Zamasu out. You may even have the, which we haven't talked about that card yet, the counter play 2-drop Zamasu out, which, again, that's all you need is a yellow Zamasu. When you play this card, you get to look at your opponent's hand, choose 2 cards. So you're looking at their hand, choosing any 2 cards, and putting it in their energy. If they're at 6 energy and you play this, put 2 in their hand, they're at 8, use the ability, you win. If they're at 5, and I've actually done this before, if they're at 5 life, this is what makes this card so good. So if they're at 5 life, you play this, you look at their hand, you choose 2 cards, you put it in their energy. You can activate Zamasu's ability. But remember, you're looking at their hand. So you can pull that blocker. You could pull that negate. You can pull their super combos. And you can look at their hand and go, okay, I have a 30k guy on board. I can combo up to 70k. What can my opponent do? Can they combo to 70k? Nope. Oh, okay, I do it. I swing. Well, I mean, takes the whole dramatic out of everything. Because you know you won, you've already seen their hand. So this is a really, really, really good card. And not to mention, in scenarios that does happen, when you need to get that last bit of life, what's nice is if you have a few of these Zamasu Advocate for Evil in hands, remember, these can pull from your energy. So once you play that card, you can swing with this Zamasu, and then turn around and play this for free by fusing that Zamasu and then fusing a Goku Black into your energy. So you can just go, all right, fine, all right, you were managed outcome with 30k. Great, all right, I'm going to bring out my 24k guy, swing again. And you can just keep swinging. So really, really good. Just another way to help get to that next level, help get to that 8 energy. Finally, the last card I didn't talk about, Zamasu the Eliminator. Actually, there's 3 other cards I didn't. Zamasu the Eliminator, again, such a solid card. Counterplay, play this card, and if the battle card, this has been eroded, and it's the battle card that's being played as an energy cost 4 or less, you have to return that battle card to their hand. And when you play this card, you draw a card, so it replaces itself, and you get to choose another battle card your opponent has played and put it into rest. Sometimes I will actually play this with the battle card being over 6, with an energy cost of 6, because the counterplay is playing the battle card. Okay, so what you do is you perform what you can on the card. So what I'll do is, let's say you play a boss monster card that costs 8, but it doesn't have barrier. I'll turn around and go, okay, great, I play this. It doesn't go back into your hand because it's an energy cost more of 4. But when I play this card, I get to choose one of your battle cards. I'm going to choose the battle card you just played and put it in rest mode. So this card is, again, blue-yellow Zamasu, replaces itself. You can also, again, this is the fodder for all of your fusion materials that need a Zamasu out in play. Also, this card has got the added effect that it negates its energy exhaust when you have another blue-yellow in play. Blue-yellow energy. Because you're going to want at least 2 blue-yellow energies when you're ramping energy. The other card I've got to talk about is there is another 9-drop in the deck. This 9-drop I do run 4 of. Basically, this does not have energy exhaust in your deck because you are Zamasu. You play it. super free, super, free energy, and you can also EX evolve off another one of your 5 drops. This thing is really good, even in red, because red does have ways to destroy this. Like, I know Shenron decks can neg something over 35k, but there's not a lot of decks that can neg something over 35k. Especially now that counterplay Yamcha has been removed, so it's a lot harder to stack on those neg effects. It's only limit 1. You do have the Videl. Some people do run the red Videl, but this card is a lot safer when it does come to red decks. But yeah, double striker, indestructible, blocker, and then when you do activate your discard a blue-yellow card, and untap the 2 energy, again, this thing can tap anything. This thing can tap even your leader or your opponent's leader, their energy, even their unison. Such a solid card. So I do run 4 of these, obviously, just really good. And then finally, the Goku Black. I do run 2 of this. This is actually a clutch card because you're not going to be using too much of your Z deck due to the restriction of Divine Judgment. So you're like, why do I even have Z energy to begin with? For this card. This card literally replaces itself when you play it, and it's an activate battle. So let's say your opponent goes all in with a 3-cost battle card or a 2-cost battle card. You can turn around, activate the battle on this, play blue, just remove that battle card. So if they combo out and you can just say, yep, play 1 blue, play this, comes out, destroy your card, put it at the bottom of your deck. Such a good card. And again, replaces itself, and it's a 20k double striker, because you don't want to rely on the win con with this deck of ramping your opponent to 8 energy. You don't want to rely on that win con. So now we've gone over the main deck. The next thing I'm going to go over is the Z deck. Now again, the Z deck, once you use this card, Divine Judgment, you're not going to be able to play any cards from your Z deck. However, again, you may not be playing Divine Judgment every game. It's going to depend if you get that card in your hand, or it might be a little bit later in the game. So really, your Z deck does matter because you could be playing that card earlier in the game. So the Z cards that I use, I do run 3-Cell Awakening of the Created. Again, such a solid card, early game. Opponent's flooding the board. You need a way to be able to take care of it. Cell Awakening of the Created can do that. Then we look at, I do run 1 Son Goku Stronger Together, just in case my opponent just gets an incredibly strong and powerful hand. They just have so many cards. This card, literally, you play it. If your opponent has 11 or more cards, they have to go down to 10. So this is a really, really solid card to play. And it has Barrier and Deflect, so stopping this is not happening. Then, obviously, I do run Beerus Area Annihilator to get rid of those very annoying barrier cards. But again, Tragedy Overground goes through barrier. This is just more of somebody gets out something early game, it's super annoying, I need to get rid of it. I know Gogeta had a Gogeta Rush deck, they would get out the SCR barrier card. This card can kind of help with that. So, and again, because it places it at the bottom of their deck, if it's a FCR card with the new ruling and ultimate card, it doesn't go at the bottom of their deck. It would get removed from the game instead. Then finally, I've never used this, but I keep it just in case. Again, by the time I'm at 5 energy, normally I've already used Divine Judgment, so I wouldn't be able to play this anyway. But those games where you don't get up there, or, I get up there with Goku Black instead of Divine Judgment, could be a solid card. Deflect, Triple Strike Barrier. Just gives you more defense for the deck. Finally, I wanted to get into the side deck cards, the reason I won them. The first one, obviously, is Absolute Confidence. This card is absolutely insane against the green Unison Cooler. Wow. I've played this card and have shocked people when I play this card, because you play it, it's an activate main or battle. So you activate during battle when their unison attacks. You neg one of their markers. So if you neg one of their markers, it loses any bonuses or anything that that card has gained. So for example, with the Golden Frieza, it gains that triple attack. You use Absolute Confidence, it loses triple attack. So even like when they're attacking you, they'll combo up. It loses the triple attack and the 10k. Oh man, like they go all in trying to do the last 3 damage to you. You just turn around and play this card and go, yeah, I take it. Really good card. This is also really good against just putting it in your deck in general against a really wide board with a bunch of 2/3 drops. Because again, this thing can also take a battle card 3 or less, return it to their hand, again activate battle, and then it replaces itself. You draw a card. So I absolutely love this card in my side deck, and if I go against a green deck, or if I go against a super wide deck, that does a lot of 2/3 drops, I'll actually sneak a couple of these in. The next one I'm going to go over is Goku Black Future Decimator. I will actually side this into my deck if I want to hurry up and ramp as quickly as possible so I can get Tragedy Overground out. So if I'm going against a deck that, like, for example, Supreme Kai of Time, that plays a lot of high battle cards, overwhelm cards, and I'm like, oh man, I want to get Tragedy Overground out as quickly as possible, I will use this card. And this card basically ramps, plays an energy for free, and then I can use it as fusion fodder, or just use that energy to go right into the 9-drop Zamasu. The next one, this was in my actual main deck. The reason why I take this is now in my side deck is because if you go against red, this card's basically worthless. This card's basically worthless. They're going to neg any battle card you put out when they play a battle card, and they're just going to continue attacking you. What's nice about this card, it is a free blocker that you can play on your turn early game. So if I go against like a really aggressive green or blue deck, this is a free Zamasu. This is a free blocker that you can only play this for free on your unawakened side without having any battle cards out, because it does require a Goku Black card in your battle area or leader area, and you are a Goku Black on your unawakened side. So this is a really solid card. I put it in my side deck if I go against a super aggressive deck that isn't red. Finally, depending, I do run this just in case I go against the mirror. Obviously, if I go against the mirror and they get Tragedy Overground against my deck, bad news bears for me. It literally shuts down my deck. Not much that I can do. However, with Zeno Cosmic Unison, it is one of the only few cards that can get rid of Tragedy Overground, and it is a -5. Choose all cards in your battle area, ignoring barrier, and shuffle them into the owner's deck. And that includes field cards. This is also not a bad tech to use against some decks that rely on their field card. Just running a few of these and then playing it. Again, because this is a 2-drop unison, this can still be used with Divine Judgment, because Divine Judgment says Zamasu, Goku Black, or mono blue unison cards. So again, I put this in the side for that reason. Finally, the last thing that I wanted to go over was there are 2 other SCRs that you could run with this deck. There are 2 SCRs that you could run with this deck, and I want to bring those up real quick. The 2 SCRs that you could run with this deck besides the Vegito, if you're looking for a cheaper build for this deck, because the Vegito goes for about $100, you can run Baby Hachiak Saiyan Destroyer. You can't search for it. This card, as of now on TCG Player, goes for $20. You can't search for this card, but the counterattack, so good. I mean, if you have 3 or more energy, you negate the attack, play this card, and your opponent can't attack for the turn. Now keep in mind, if you use Divine Judgment and then you play this card, you still get the negate the attack and they still can't attack for the turn. However, the card doesn't come out into play. It actually goes into your drop area. Yes, Because you're not playing the card as of the time of this recording, I've already checked with the head judges on this one. Because you're not actually playing the card, it would go to your drop. Doesn't matter anyway, because there's no way for you to recycle that Baby Hatchiyak back into your hand, but you would not play the card. You do what you can on the card effect. Baby Hatchiyak would just stop all of attacks. You can play that one, however, it's not as consistent because this isn't searchable with Zamasu's power. So when you swing, so it's a lot harder to get this one into your hand. But a very solid choice and a lot cheaper SCR to play. You could also go the mid ground, and this card is called the Wicked Saiyans. This is searchable with Zamasu's power because it is a Goku Black card. It does have Goku Black in it along with Raditz, Broly, and Turtles. And this card, when you combo with it, it's a pseudo super combo because it costs 0 to combo with for 10,000. When you combo with this, you can pay 2 energy. And if you do, your opponent either A, has to choose 4 of their cards and switch them to rest mode, any 4 cards, or B, this card then comes out into play and they got to choose 2 cards from their hand and discard them. This is a really good early game SCR. Very solid early game SCR because you can play this extremely early, and on your unawakened side, you are Goku Black. So on the unawakened side, the permanent actually comes into play if your opponent has 2 or more energy and your leader card is green, yellow, or there's a character name with this card, which would be Goku Black. This card gains dual attack and blocker. So early game, you could force your opponent, discard 2 cards, play the 40k beat stick on board that is a blocker, and you can swing twice with dual attack. So this one, if it goes to a really aggressive meta, I would actually do the Wicked Saiyans instead of Vegito. However, Baby Hatchiyak, if you're looking for a slight budget build, because if you run it with Baby Hatchiyak, you get everything unfoiled and the lowest rarity, you could build this deck for about 50, 60 bucks. It's really not that expensive. So I would ignore, we'll come back to the screen, I would ignore where it says up here the main deck, the Z deck, and the side deck. A lot of these cards have actually gone down in value, and I would recommend picking them up now because with the Ultimate deck coming out, I believe it's in March, it is for Goku Black, and there's a lot of these cards that could go up in value because they're going to pair well with Goku Black. So this is an extremely fun control deck to play. I highly, highly recommend it. Go back to full screen there. Highly, highly recommend it. I hope you all enjoyed the deck profile video. Again, I wanted to show that you can build a fun competitive deck, a control type deck for cheap. And also, this is really fun to play with. I mean, it's just super fun. It's got multiple ways to win. You're ramping your energy. You're ramping your opponent's energy. You're either going to beat them down with a bunch of indestructible cards and destroying their energy with Goku Black, or you're going to ramp their energy with Tragedy Overground, or you're going to use that Fuse Zamasu, rip cards from their hand, put them in their energy, and win that way. So I hope you all enjoyed this deck profile video. I do plan on doing a few other ones, including some other budget build decks that are competitive, that can compete with the current meta right now on Dragon Ball Super. And also make sure you all are keeping an eye on the new builds, or not the new builds, but the new set coming out. And then finally, I do want to thank our Patreon supporters. Thank you all so much for being Patreon supporters. Really helps out the channel. And and then again, be sure to check out our other videos. Again, we look at all card games, all TCG card games. Well, not all of them, but we look at a lot of different TCG card games. We're all TCG card game nuts. We love playing different card games. And so I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take it easy and see you soon. Bye.